All right, all you not normals. Hey, here we are. We got another episode. Today's gonna be awesome. We got Walker Richardson. He's gonna help us dissect this topic today. Maybe we should look at maybe some actual examples of logical fallacies and then go through like the top 15 or 10 logical fallacies that there are and see if any of those apply or if there's some other thing going on. How does that sound?
Okay, let's run through it.
So I want to just start out with what's a fallacy, and it really it's a mistaken belief, especially one that's based on unsound argument. So if we kind of use that as the definition we're working with, it really helps frame this. Say logical fallacy, and like, well, not sure what that means exactly, but I would say it's a misconception or like a false notion, delusion.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Fallacy. Then a logical fallacy. We could say that's an argument that may sound convincing or true, but is actually flawed, leading to an unsupported conclusion. So that's more tricky because at first blush, it sounds good. Sounds kind of logical. So, being able to identify these logical fallacies is going to make you better, especially like you can see it in other people, can make you a better thinker, but maybe more importantly, it can make you a better writer, communicator, leader of your own life and others. So I looked up some origins and Aristotle wrote about this. Let me read a couple of things here. He identified 13 of them and divided them into two categories, verbal and material fallacies. And he wrote about it in the book Sophistical Refutations. So he said that a verbal fallacy is one where the language that is used is ambiguous or incorrect. Okay, so the language is not supporting the argument. And a material fallacy is an argument that involves faulty or flawed reasoning. So we'll see some of that too, I think. So maybe what if we go through Mayor Adams' video again? It's like 1 minute long.
Yeah, pull it up.
And then we can go through the 10 or 15 fallacies. It's just a good example, I think, of coming to conclusions, false notions, misconceptions of a proper course of action. So I think it could fit. Let's watch it.
Okay.
So one of them, in no particular order, is called the slippery slope fallacy. So it's the conclusion based on the premise that if A happens, then eventually through a series of small steps, B, C, X, Y, Z are going to happen too. So basically equating A to Z. If you don't want Z to occur, then you want to make sure A doesn't happen.
Okay.
Here's an example. If we ban Hummers because they are bad for the environment, eventually the government will ban all cars, so we should not ban Hummers. So in this example, the author is equating banning Hummers with banning all cars, which is not the same thing.
Yeah, but that one I could see some legit, not that they'd ban all cars, but like they could ban all gas cars. Like, that one doesn't feel so much like a fallacy.
Okay, some of these things there's more than one thing at play, so that could be fair. Like if you're saying you should ban, I mean, they're also like putting this thing into there, like saying something's bad for the environment, which it's not a fuel efficient car, but they're also inserting that assertion into the argument that the topic is like whether you should ban anything because it might lead to banning everything.
Yeah. Okay, I get you.
So that's a slippery slope. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to get banned. Like if you ban certain food dyes that we know are not good for health, we don't want to ban food dyes because they might start banning everything. Then we're just going to be eating rice. It's not rational, even though one thing could be poisonous and we should maybe eliminate that. Okay.
Keep going.
Hasty generalization. This is a conclusion based on insufficient or biased information. Okay, it's rushing to a conclusion before you have all the relevant facts. So even though it's the first day of class, I can tell it's going to be a boring course. That one's not too hard to understand. Like you don't have enough information, you're jumping to conclusions. This one's post hoc ergo propter hoc, which it's a conclusion that A occurred before B, then B must have caused A. So if A occurred before B, then B must have caused A. I drink the bottled water and now I'm sick. So the water must have made me sick.
I see it.
In this example, the author assumes that if one event chronologically follows another, the first event must have caused a second. But of course, it could have been caused by food poisoning or some sort of cold that's been brewing for a couple of days in your system, right? Okay, next one. Begging the claim. The conclusion that the writer should prove is validated within the claim. So filthy and polluting coal should be banned. Like they're really saying coal should be banned, but they're also making a claim that coal is filthy and polluting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's like they're taking two ideas and putting them together. And so you're arguing that coal pollutes the earth and that should be banned would be logical, but the very conclusion that should be proved that coal causes enough pollution to warrant banning its use is already assumed in the claim by referring to it as filthy and polluting. That's a tough one when you're arguing because the person who's making the proposition is already making an assertion and you have to separate the two ideas. Okay, circular argument. This restates the argument rather than actually proving it. So George Bush is a good communicator because he speaks effectively. Either one is true. But so the conclusion is that he's a good communicator. The evidence is used to prove it. Let's go to either or logical fallacy. This conclusion oversimplifies an argument by reducing it to only two sides or choices. This one is used all the time in politics, all the time in groups where you're presented with two ideas. And if you're presented with two ideas, almost always you should be looking for a third, because both of those ideas are valid to the person who's giving them to you, both options. So, okay, ad hominem. This is an attack not on the idea, but on the person presenting the idea. So, example, Greenpeace's strategies aren't effective because they're all dirty, lazy hippies.
What would be a modern day equivalent to the ad hominem?
Trump would not be a good for the country because he's a racist, misogynist, bigot.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect. Yeah.
That's exactly the same. Okay. Red herring. So it's a diversionary. Next one. It's a diversionary tactic that avoids key issues by avoiding opposing arguments rather than addressing them. So let's think of an example here. The level of mercury in seafood may be unsafe, but what will fishers do to support their families? Next one, straw man. So it's an oversimplification of an opponent's viewpoint that then attacks that hollow argument. Okay. This one's used a lot. Let's look at an example. People who don't support the proposed state minimum wage increase hate the poor.
Yeah, that one's used so much.
Yeah. So in the straw man, it's like you're oversimplifying an argument, making it weak, and then it's easy to attack.
That was kind of similar to the ad hominem, kind of attacking the character.
It is, in this example, it is, but I think the distinction here in the straw man example, to be specific, is you're oversimplifying an opponent's argument to make it easy to attack it.
Okay.
I think that's the distinction for this one. Let's think of another example for a straw man. Like, what's somebody's opinion we could oversimplify to make it easy to take down?
Being for AI means you're opposed to humanity.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like,
it is.
People who support AI hate. Yeah, it's exactly the same. The last one I have here, moral equivalence. So this fallacy compares minor misdeeds with major atrocities, suggesting that both are equally immoral. This one comes out a lot.
Yeah.
Example, the parking attendant who gave me a ticket is as bad as Hitler. So in this example, author is comparing the relatively harmless actions of a person doing a job with horrific actions of Hitler. The comparison is unfair and inaccurate. Let's think of another example. One's minor misdeeds with major atrocities. Okay, well, that one's, I mean, that's a pretty big atrocity, that Hitler's actions in Europe. So, well, they're saying it is as bad as, and it's not. So, like, it's a minor misdeed and comparing it with an atrocity and making a comparison. That's what it is. One more before we end, though, which was, I think, a good one to be aware of. Ad populum bandwagon appeal. So let me go through this one. It's an appeal that presents what most people or a group think in order to persuade one to think the same way. So it's kind of like bandwagon. This one happens all the time. Usually they use the word like patriots, or if you were a true American, you would support the rights of people to choose whatever vehicle they want. So you're equating true American with the concept that people want to be associated with, particularly in a time of war. Like, you want to be a true American. And if you're a true American, you should allow people to buy anything they want, even though there's no connection between those two ideas. Usually they'll appeal to, like, if you're a charitable person or a caring person, you would support this policy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's worth looking at. So let's just summarize. Like, this is very healthy to go through these, because you can see it all the time when you're talking to people. Easier to like untangle your thoughts if you have like these frameworks to like help you see things more clearly. So I think we should leave it there for today. But
okay.
Thanks for participating, Walker.
Thanks for bringing these to light.
Yeah. All right, guys.
No problem.
You know what to do. We'll see you in the next episode.